What's happening, Saints fans? Thank you so much for tuning into another edition of Saints Now by Chat Sports. As always, I'm your host, Trace Girouard. In this video, we're going to dive into the latest mock draft from NFL Network's Lance Zierlein. He dropped his mock draft 3.0, so we're going to react. And I'm here to tell you, there's multiple selections for the Saints. Did he trade up? Did he trade back? We're going to have to find out. So be sure to stick around throughout this entire video because we're going to give you guys some really good context and some really good analysis on the players that Lance Zierlein predicted the New Orleans Saints to select. Now, here's how round one shook out before the Saints pick at 9 overall. No trades yet. Saints still on the board at 9. Cam Ward taken at 1. Abdul Carter at 2. Travis Hunter at 3. Will Campbell at 4. And then Mason Graham, who's notably going to have a top 30 visit with the Saints. He goes to the Jags at 5. Jalen Walker at 6. I'm actually shocked that this one wasn't Ashton Ginty. Armand Membu at 7. And then Michael Williams is going to the NFC South to the Carolina Panthers. Before I tell you who the first pick for the New Orleans Saints was, I want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel. It's all Saints content all the time. I mean, how many places do you find exclusively New Orleans Saints black and gold content? You turn on the TV, they're not talking about the Saints. You got to find guys like me, Ross Jackson, Nick Underhill, and all the other great content creators out there. We also, on draft day, will be live on day 1, 2, and 3. And in case you didn't know, we're going to have the ability to have access to the picks before the TV has them. So we're going to get the picks faster. We're going to react to them and break them down quicker. And we'll also have deeper analysis of each pick from a Saints perspective with no commercials. So subscribe today if you're a diehard Saints fan and you want some awesome draft coverage. Now, NFL Network's mock draft in round 1, number 9 overall. It's a pick that has honestly actually already been mocked. Lance Zierlein has Jihaad Campbell, the linebacker out of Alabama, at number 9 overall. And, you know, my initial reaction to this was originally like, I don't know about this one, but the more and more I think about it and the more research I do and the more I pay attention to Jihaad Campbell's tape, I fall in love with the idea of this pick every single time just a little bit more. Now, there is some good things with Jihaad Campbell. Honestly, not a ton of bad. So we're not even going to highlight the bad parts of his game. He did lead the Crimson Tide in tackles for loss, sacks, and forced fumbles. So I can tell you right now, my girlfriend, Maddie, she's an Alabama fan. She would love this selection. I can promise you I'm going to be getting her a Jihaad Campbell jersey if this is the pick. 30 coverage stops for Jihaad Campbell. It was the most in the NCAA, and a coverage stop, according to Pro Football Focus, is a defensive play where a defender prevents an offensive gain, resulting in a, quote, win for the defense or a loss for the offense. So he led the college football and all of that. And then a 5.9 missed tackle rate, really, really exceptional stuff. He's a very good football player. And to be totally honest, I think he could be an awesome and very interesting fit in New Orleans. But here's what Lance Zierlein had to say. Mulling through the Saints options here took some time. But incoming coordinator Brandon Staley is going to need an outside linebacker with top-tier athleticism who can rush the passer and cover for his 3-4 defense. Campbell is the lone guy remaining who fits that profile. Now, I'll say this. I think Jihaad Campbell is the top linebacker in college football, or in this draft class, I should say. He had some really, really good production. Again, led Alabama in tackles for loss, sacks, and forced fumbles. I really, really want the Saints to add a offensive or a defensive playmaker and a weapon like Jihaad Campbell. But I will say this. Lance Zierlein brought up a really, really good point in pairing up Jihaad Campbell with Brandon Staley. And I do believe that Brandon Staley could have a lot of fun with a player like Campbell because of the versatility that he offers and because of how quality of a player he is. So you let Brandon Staley cook with a player like Jihaad Campbell, that could be really fun. But also worth noting, they do have a player in Isaiah Foskey who could be that 3-4 outside linebacker for you. So, you know, you do have options on the roster now. But I think that Jihaad Campbell is definitely a name the Saints should take a look at. And look, I feel like number 9 is a little bit early. Like, I don't hate this pick. I want this to be very clear. I like this selection. I'd have to kind of convince myself that number 9 was worth it. But it does feel a little bit early because, in my opinion, the bigger needs for the New Orleans Saints lie more so with the wide receiver position, and they also lie more in the offensive line. So here in a second, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about today's presenting sponsor. But before that, I want you to get down in the comments section and make your pick for me. Who do you want this pick to be? All of these guys are on the board for Lance Zierlein's selection at number 9. Should he have gone a different route? Or do you like the idea of him going with Jihaad Campbell? What do you guys think? Type the initials of whatever play you like, and if it's not one of these 4, you can just shout them out down in the comment section. All righty, coming up, we're going to the Saints. They traded back into round 1, so we're going to dive into that here. But really quick, on the day that the Saints draft picks are made, this is the hat that all those prospects will be rocking. It's so fresh. All of the teams have this little pin here that's really, really sick. And I absolutely love the idea of having these city-themed hats. It looks so cool. And honestly, I think these are the best looking draft hats we've had in the last few years. Chatsports.com/Saints draft. Get started and get swagged out today. Link is in the comments and description of this video. Make sure you check it out. They also have other styles too. They got snapbacks. They got the ball caps. They have various different colors. But you can get yours. Chatsports.com/Saints draft. The link is in the comment section and description of this video. Now, I also want to dive into the NFL Network mock draft, the second pick, because I told you there's 2 picks. Saints traded back into round 1. It traded with the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to say this, Lance Zierlein, shame on you. We all know that the Eagles like to fleece the New Orleans Saints, so I am not willing to trade with the damn Eagles at all for the foreseeable future. Until at least Mickey Loomis is not the general manager, I want nothing to do with trade with the Eagles. Trade to 30 with the Chiefs, fine, but not the Eagles. That's just kind of a rant. Anyway, they did trade back into round 1 to take Jaxson Dart at number 32 overall, that pick that belonged to the Philadelphia Eagles, like I just mentioned. Here's what Zierlein had to say. With teams like the Giants and the Raiders sitting in front of the New Orleans Saints at 40 overall in round 2, New Orleans swaps with the Eagles to land a quarterback. Look, I don't dislike Jaxson Dart. But why are we continuing to have this conversation about Jaxson Dart being a first-round pick, and why are we continuing to talk about him being the first, like a top 10 selection? Mel Kiper had him being 9th overall pick. Like, what has changed in the last 3 weeks after the combine that has made scouts think, oh my God, this guy is now a top pick. He is now one of the top guys. Like, and this is not me trying to say that Jaxson Dart isn't a good player. This is just me saying, I think the first round is just a little rich for Jaxson Dart, but I can understand the reasoning. If you want your guy, if you need your guy, you're going to need to draft him at any spot regardless of, where he may or may not fall in mock drafts. Jaxson Dart is a player who every single season got better. Every single season he improved in every metric, and he is a guy that I would really love the New Orleans Saints to possibly select. He does offer some mobility. He offers the uses of his legs, and he also has the ability to bring some swagger, bring some confidence, bring some fun to this Saints offense, and I do think that Ole Miss's pro day, it is really interesting to note that Kellen Moore, Doug Nussmeier, and Scott Tolzien were all seen talking with Jaxson Dart, and I see 4 people, and I see 4 smiles. Feels like they're having a pretty good conversation. So I don't think that this is insignificant. I do think that this does mean something, and I do think that the Saints are a team to watch for Jaxson Dart. But at 40 or at 32, trading back into it, I don't know if I love that idea. It's just a little bit rich to me. So, and personally, I would rather just wait and gamble to see if Jaxson Dart falls to the second round, and then you can go get him. Just take him at 40. If he gets taken before, okay, go get a different player. You can still get a prime position and a prime player and a very highly touted player at number 40 overall. And look, I'll also say this. We've said this before, and we're going to continue to say it until draft day. All of this doesn't matter because whoever Kellen Moore's guy is, that's ultimately what the pick's going to be. If Kellen Moore believes that Jaxson Dart is his guy, Mickey Loomis is going to make it happen. If Kellen Moore believes Shedeur Sanders is his guy, Mickey Loomis is going to make it happen. If Kellen Moore believes Cam Ward is his guy, they're going to try to find a way to make it happen. So it doesn't matter who we want. It doesn't matter who you want. It doesn't matter who I want. It matters what Kellen Moore wants. And if Kellen Moore thinks that Jaxson Dart is the guy to run his offense and that's the guy he wants to hitch his wagon to, so be it. That's what it's going to be. We'll have to see what happens, but ultimately, I don't think that that's a bad way to go. Just don't waste a top 10 pick on him. Just way, way too rich. Now I want you to get down in the comment section. Share your thoughts on the Lance Zierlein NFL Network mock draft. In round 1, number 9 overall, you drafted Jihaad Campbell, linebacker out of Alabama. And in round 1, 32 overall, you traded up. We don't know what the trade compensation was, but you traded up to 32 overall to get Jaxson Dart, the Ole Miss quarterback. Grade it for me, A, B, C, D, or F. Get your red pens out. Get back to school. And while you're sharing your thoughts in the comment section, just one more friendly reminder to subscribe to the channel. We post videos almost every single day around the New Orleans Saints and, of course, the 2025 NFL Draft. We'll be live on draft day all 3 days, and we'll break down the undrafted free agents that the Saints bring in. So, Saints fans, y'all stay golden. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.